What happens when you die? Buddhism offers a surprising answer. Death is not the end, but the beginning of another journey. Buddhism describes continuity of consequence and consciousness without a permanent self. Buddhist teachings have mapped out 6 distinct realms where beings can be reborn based on their karma. From the golden paradise of gods to the tormented depths of hell realms, each destination reflects the quality of our actions in life. But here's what most people don't realize. These realms aren't just distant places. They exist as inner states within us right now. By the end, you'll have a simple map to recognize these states in your daily life. So, where exactly does this ancient wisdom claim consciousness goes? Buddhism claims there is an actual map showing where consciousness travels after death. It's called the Bhava Chakra, or Wheel of Life. This ancient diagram has guided spiritual seekers for over 2,500 years, charting every possible destination for consciousness after death. Think of it this way. The Wheel of Life works like a cosmic GPS. But instead of showing roads and highways, it maps the paths consciousness can take based on your actions in life. This isn't just beautiful ancient art hanging in temples. Buddhist teachers present it as a symbolic map used in many traditions and interpreted both literally and psychologically. Historically, some read it literally. Many Buddhist teachers also use it as a psychological map of mental states. The wheel divides all of existence into 6 distinct realms: the God realm of endless pleasure, the demigod realm of jealous warriors, the human realm where we live now, the animal realm of instinct and fear, the hungry ghost realm, endless craving, and the hell realms of intense suffering. Each realm operates under specific karmic forces, like different climates in the spiritual world. At the wheel's center, 3 animals represent the forces that keep beings spinning through these realms. A rooster symbolizes greed. A snake represents hatred. A pig stands for ignorance. These 3 root poisons drive every action that creates karma. When greed dominates your mind, you create karma that pulls you towards certain realms. When hatred controls you, different karmic forces activate. When ignorance clouds your judgment, you generate yet another type of karmic energy. Karma, the consequences of intentional actions, works like a natural law, similar to gravity or magnetism. It's not divine judgment or cosmic punishment. Your actions create energy that must find expression somewhere. Kind actions create positive karmic energy. Harmful actions generate negative karmic energy. Neutral actions produce mixed results. This energy determines which realm of consciousness the soul enters after death. Some modern interpreters and teachers draw strong psychological parallels between the realms and states of mind. The God realm mirrors the psychology of comfort addiction. The demigod realm reflects competitive thinking and status obsession. The animal realm represents unconscious, reactive living. The hungry ghost realm captures addiction and chronic dissatisfaction. The hell realms mirror depression, rage, and mental torment. This psychological dimension reveals something crucial about the wheel. You don't have to wait until death to experience these realms. You cycle through them daily based on your mental states and actions. When you act from greed, you mentally enter the hungry ghost realm. When jealousy consumes you, you taste the demigod experience. When you live unconsciously, you slip into the animal realm of thinking. But here's where the system becomes truly fascinating. One realm on this wheel offers something the others cannot: the key to escaping the entire cycle. While gods are too comfortable to seek freedom and hell beings are too tormented to practice wisdom, beings in this special realm possess the perfect conditions for liberation. They experience enough suffering to motivate spiritual growth, yet enough pleasure to maintain hope and energy for the path. The wheel isn't just a map of where you might go after death. It functions as a mirror reflecting where you are right now. Your current mental state, your habitual actions, your dominant emotions all indicate which realm you're experiencing in this moment. When you understand this, the ancient wheel becomes a practical tool for spiritual navigation. You can observe your own patterns. Notice which realm you inhabit most often. Recognize the karmic forces you're generating through your choices. See how the 3 root poisons operate in your daily life. But to understand your position on this wheel, we need to explore each realm in detail. Let's start with the most seductive destination of all. What if achieving everything you ever wanted actually prevented you from finding true freedom? This question leads us to Buddhism's most seductive realm, the Deva realm, where beings experience long lifespans and abundant pleasures, but these conditions foster attachment and spiritual complacency. Picture beings in the realm of the gods who live for thousands of years without aging significantly. These devas inhabit crystal palaces that shine brighter than any earthly light. Their bodies remain youthful for centuries. Food appears before they feel hunger. Companions surround them who share their interests perfectly. Most desires get fulfilled with minimal effort or planning. These devas possess powers that make human abilities seem primitive. They can travel instantly across vast distances. They can see events happening in other realms. They experience pleasure so intense that human joy feels like a shadow by comparison. Their minds remain clear and sharp for lifespans that stretch across thousands of human generations. Yet Buddhist teachings reveal these gods are trapped in the most subtle prison of all. Their endless comfort creates spiritual laziness. When life flows smoothly, why question anything? Why seek deeper truth? Why examine the nature of existence when every moment brings satisfaction? Think of it this way. Spiritual growth requires friction, like muscle growth requires resistance. The devas live in a realm without spiritual resistance. No suffering motivates them to seek liberation. No dissatisfaction pushes them toward wisdom. No challenges force them to develop compassion or understanding. They float through centuries in a pleasant dream, mistaking temporary pleasure for ultimate reality. This comfort becomes their downfall. Good karma that created their godly existence eventually runs out, like fuel burning in an engine. When their positive karmic energy gets exhausted, these devas face an inevitable fall to lower realms. They watch their perfect bodies age. Their palaces fade. Their powers weaken. Their companions abandon them. The tragic moment comes when the gods realize their paradise was temporary. All those centuries of pleasure become meaningless because they didn't use their time to develop wisdom or compassion. They squandered the ideal conditions for spiritual growth by assuming their bliss would endure forever. Now they face rebirth in realms of greater suffering, with no spiritual tools to help them navigate the challenges ahead. Historically, many lay practitioners sought merit to secure rebirth among devas, despite the fact that such rebirth rarely leads to liberation. This reveals how pleasure without purpose becomes its own form of suffering. When you have everything but understand nothing about the nature of existence, your life lacks meaning despite external perfection. You can see this pattern in modern life. People who achieve material success often report feeling spiritually empty. Comfort zones become prisons that prevent personal growth. Success without wisdom leads to complacency rather than fulfillment. The Deva realm operates in your daily experience too. When you avoid difficulty, choose comfort over growth, or assume good times will last forever, you enter the God realm thinking. When you use pleasure to avoid facing more profound questions about life's meaning, you mirror the Diva's spiritual laziness. The God realm teaches us that even paradise is temporary. Comfort leads to complacency, not liberation. External perfection cannot provide internal freedom. The most beautiful prison is still a prison if it prevents you from awakening to truth. But what happens when beings possess incredible power, yet remain consumed by one toxic emotion that makes victory impossible? The Asura realm houses beings with immense abilities, yet they're consumed by jealousy that turns their gifts into curses. Asura rebirth is linked in texts to anger and envy that convert power into misery. These demigods possess strength that could move mountains. Their bodies tower above human size with muscles that never tire. They can fight for centuries without rest. Their minds process battle strategies with lightning speed. They command armies and rule vast territories through pure force. Yet these powerful beings live in perpetual torment. They can see the God realm above them, where beings enjoy the same powers plus perfect contentment. This knowledge becomes their eternal agony. The demigods know that gods live in luxury while they struggle and fight. They witness the peace and abundance just beyond their reach. This awareness drives demigods to wage endless wars against the gods. They launch massive attacks on the divine realm, convinced they can claim what the gods possess. Their jealousy fuels strategies that span lifetimes. They rally their forces with promises of victory and divine spoils. Each battle seems winnable because their power nearly matches the gods' abilities. But their envy ensures they never find satisfaction. Even when demigods win individual battles, victory tastes bitter. They gain territory but not contentment. They acquire divine weapons but not peace. They capture godly palaces but find them empty of meaning. Their jealous minds immediately focus on what they still lack rather than what they've gained. Think of it this way: jealousy works like a poison that transforms every achievement into disappointment. The demigods' minds stay locked on comparison rather than appreciation. They measure their worth against others instead of finding value in their own abilities. This psychology of comparison creates perpetual dissatisfaction. When you constantly measure yourself against others, you never feel successful enough. Someone always has more power, more status, more recognition. The comparison game has no winners because there's always another level to reach, another person to surpass. In modern terms, this realm mirrors people whose lives are defined by rivalry and status-seeking, achievement without peace. Corporate climbers who sacrifice everything for the next promotion often embody this realm. They possess impressive skills and work incredibly hard, yet they're driven by competition rather than purpose. Social media creates demigod states when people compare their lives to others' highlight reels. The fitness world shows this pattern clearly. People develop impressive physical abilities but remain mentally tortured by comparison to others. They achieve strength but not confidence. They build powerful bodies while their minds stay weak from constant competitive thinking. Professional environments breed demigod consciousness when success gets measured only against colleagues. Talented people become miserable because they focus on who's ahead rather than their own growth. They develop valuable skills while losing inner balance. The demigod realm reveals how power without inner peace becomes suffering rather than strength. External abilities mean nothing if your mind stays trapped in jealous comparison. Strength combined with wisdom creates confidence, but strength fueled by envy creates endless conflict. Notice when competitive thinking dominates your mind. Observe how comparison steals satisfaction from your achievements. See how jealousy transforms your abilities into sources of stress rather than joy. The demigod experience teaches us that even impressive power becomes a prison when driven by the wrong motivations. True strength comes from inner peace, not external dominance. Yet there's one realm that appears ordinary by comparison, but holds something extraordinary that even gods desire. Right now, you hold an opportunity that even the gods long for. What makes human birth so incredibly rare and valuable? The human realm appears ordinary compared to godly bliss or demigod power, yet Buddhist teachings consider it the most precious of all 6 realms. It's an analogy used in the tradition to express rarity, not a statistical claim about population. Buddhist texts describe human birth as rarer than a blind turtle surfacing through a floating ring in an endless ocean. Picture this ancient analogy. Imagine a turtle swimming blind through infinite waters, rising to breathe only once every 100 years. Now imagine a wooden ring floating somewhere on the ocean's surface. The chances of that turtle's head surfacing exactly through that ring represent the rarity of human birth. This seems impossible to believe when you see billions of humans on Earth. But Buddhist cosmology counts beings across all realms and time spans. When you factor in countless gods living for millions of years, infinite animals driven by instinct, and beings in other realms, human consciousness becomes extraordinarily uncommon. What makes human existence so special? Human birth combines cognitive capacity, moral agency, and a balance of pleasure and suffering, conditions that allow insight into impermanence and non-self, and thus the possibility of nirvana. You have enough suffering to motivate change, yet enough pleasure to maintain hope. This balance doesn't exist in other realms. Think of it this way: spiritual development requires both motivation and capacity. Gods possess the capacity for wisdom but lack motivation because their lives are too comfortable. Hell beings have intense motivation to escape suffering but lack the mental capacity to practice because pain overwhelms their consciousness. Animals live without the intellectual ability to question existence or choose their responses. Humans alone possess the perfect combination of intelligence, free will, and spiritual capacity. Your mind can grasp abstract concepts like impermanence and liberation. You can understand cause and effect across time. You can choose your actions based on wisdom rather than just instinct or impulse. Human consciousness can hold contradictions that other realms cannot process. You can experience pleasure while understanding it won't last. You can face suffering while recognizing it as temporary. You can feel desire while questioning whether fulfilling it brings happiness. This cognitive flexibility creates space for spiritual insight. Your human brain can observe its own mental processes. You can watch thoughts arise and pass away. You can notice emotional patterns and choose different responses. You can reflect on the nature of consciousness itself. These abilities make enlightenment possible in ways that simply don't exist for beings in other realms. Human birth offers something no other realm provides: the ability to step off the wheel of rebirth entirely. While other beings cycle through realms based on their karma, humans can develop the wisdom to transcend the entire system. You can recognize the illusory nature of all realms and achieve liberation from the cycle of rebirth. This moment of human balance is rare. What you do with it matters. Consider how remarkable your current situation is. You have access to spiritual teachings that can lead to liberation. You possess the mental capacity to understand them. You have the free will to apply them. You live in conditions that allow for both learning and practice. Yet most humans waste this precious opportunity by living without awareness, driven purely by instinct and habit. When we examine how this unconsciousness manifests, we discover patterns that mirror another realm entirely. The animal realm represents existence dominated by instinctual drives and limited capacity for reflective choice. Animals experience life through immediate physical needs, without the awareness that makes presence valuable for spiritual growth. A deer drinks from a stream not through mindful appreciation, but because thirst demands satisfaction. Their consciousness gets carried along by forces they cannot question or examine. Think of it this way. Animals experience life like passengers on a train they cannot control. They see the scenery passing by, but they cannot choose the destination or change the route. While we think we've evolved beyond animal consciousness, we may be living in this realm right now. The animal mind operates through three simple programs: seek pleasure, avoid pain, and reproduce. These drives run automatically without conscious reflection or choice. Watch how a cat sees movement and pounces without considering whether hunting serves its best interests. Each response happens instantly, driven by conditioning rather than conscious decision. This psychology of instinctive living appears everywhere in human behavior. You reach for your phone when you hear a notification sound. You buy items you see advertised without questioning whether you need them. You react emotionally to situations before understanding what actually happened. You follow daily routines without examining whether they serve your goals. Ignorance keeps beings trapped in cycles of automatic behavior and limited perception. The animal mind cannot step outside its own patterns to observe them. It cannot question why it wants what it wants or does what it does. It simply follows the programming without awareness that alternatives exist. Modern life creates countless opportunities for animal-like unconsciousness. You scroll through social media feeds without choosing what information to consume. Your thumb moves automatically, seeking the next bit of stimulation. Your attention gets captured by whatever appears on the screen. Consumer culture exploits animal mind patterns. Advertisements trigger automatic desires that bypass conscious evaluation. Shopping becomes hunting for the next purchase that might satisfy some unnamed craving. Credit cards enable impulsive buying that serves immediate impulses rather than long-term well-being. Even emotional reactions often mirror animal consciousness. Someone criticizes your work and anger flares instantly. You defend yourself before understanding their perspective. Your response comes from conditioning rather than conscious choice about how to handle conflict constructively. Traffic brings out animal mind responses in otherwise thoughtful people. Someone cuts in front of you and rage appears immediately. You honk the horn, make gestures, or drive aggressively without considering whether these reactions serve any useful purpose. Mindfulness practice offers the antidote to animal-like unconsciousness. Observing thoughts and impulses before acting creates space between stimulus and response. When you question your automatic reactions, you reclaim the power of conscious choice that separates human awareness from animal instinct. The animal realm shows us what happens when we live without awareness. We become prisoners of our own instincts, driven by forces we cannot see or question. Our actions serve biological programming rather than conscious intentions. We react to life rather than responding with wisdom. Notice when you operate on autopilot. Observe which situations trigger automatic responses. See how often you act without choosing your actions consciously. Yet there exists a state even more tormented than unconscious living. What happens when awareness remains intact but becomes consumed by desires that multiply with every attempt to satisfy them? This torment takes physical form in the hungry ghost realm, where beings experience insatiable craving that grows stronger with every attempt at satisfaction. Imagine having a stomach the size of a mountain, but a throat as thin as a needle. This is the hungry ghost's eternal torment. The Preta realm houses beings consumed by desires that multiply with each feeding attempt. These aren't just mythical creatures from ancient texts. They represent a psychological state many humans experience daily. The hungry ghosts appear in Buddhist art with massive bellies that bulge like balloons, yet their necks remain impossibly narrow. Their limbs stretch like brittle twigs, unable to support their bloated bodies. Their mouths open no wider than pinheads. Texts and traditions describe rituals in some cultures that symbolically feed hungry ghosts, showing the social and ritual role of this idea. When hungry ghosts try to eat, food turns to fire in their throats. When they approach water, it dries up before touching their lips. When they see abundance around them, it transforms into poison the moment they reach for it. Their enormous stomachs create constant hunger, but their tiny mouths prevent any satisfaction. Think of it this way: the hungry ghost body perfectly mirrors the psychology of addiction. Scholars describe the Preta realm as a metaphor for attachment and craving. Desire grows while capacity for satisfaction shrinks. The more you feed certain desires, the hungrier they become. The less you can actually be satisfied by what you obtain. Attachment and greed create this internal landscape of perpetual wanting. When your mind fixates on getting something specific, that fixation grows stronger than your ability to enjoy what you already have. Your desire becomes bigger than your capacity for contentment. You can recognize hungry ghost states in modern life everywhere. Addiction works exactly like the hungry ghost experience. Substances promise satisfaction but deliver increased craving. The more someone uses, the more they need to achieve the same effect. Their desire grows while their ability to feel satisfied decreases. Materialism creates hungry ghost psychology too. People accumulate possessions hoping to fill an inner emptiness, but each purchase only reveals how unsatisfied they remain. Shopping becomes compulsive seeking rather than meeting actual needs. Credit card debt grows while happiness stays out of reach. Emotional hunger appears when you seek validation from others to fill internal voids. You need constant approval, but each compliment quickly fades, requiring more and more external confirmation to feel worthy. Your emotional belly grows while your ability to self-validate diminishes. The hungry ghost mind sees abundance everywhere but can never access satisfaction. Restaurants surround you, but nothing tastes right. Relationships exist around you, but none provide the connection you crave. Opportunities appear constantly, but none deliver the fulfillment you seek. Consider the psychology of craving. Desire multiplies when fed and intensifies when denied. When you get what you want, the satisfaction lasts briefly before larger wants appear. When you deny yourself, the craving grows stronger and more obsessive. Either way, the wanting increases. This reveals why external seeking for internal problems only deepens suffering. If your inner world feels empty, no amount of external filling will solve the emptiness. If your self-worth depends on outside validation, no praise will create lasting confidence. If your happiness relies on circumstances, no situation will provide permanent peace. The hungry ghost realm teaches us that certain types of seeking create their own frustration. When desire becomes the driving force of life, satisfaction becomes impossible by definition. But there remains one realm where suffering reaches its absolute peak, yet serves a purpose that might surprise you. The hell realms represent the most intense suffering possible, Yet Buddhist teachings reveal something unexpected about their nature and purpose. Unlike other religions, Buddhism teaches that hell isn't eternal punishment, but temporary karmic consequence. Buddhist texts describe multiple hot and cold hells matched to types of harmful actions. These states exhaust karmic effects and are not eternal damnation. These realms operate like spiritual hospitals where negative karma gets burned away through intense experience. The suffering serves as a natural consequence of actions rather than punishment from a deity, reflecting karma as an impersonal causal law. Buddhist texts describe multiple hell states, each designed to match specific types of negative actions. The hot hells burn beings in fires that never consume their bodies completely. Flames reach temperatures beyond physical fire, yet the beings regenerate constantly to experience the burning again. The cold hells freeze consciousness in ice that penetrates deeper than physical cold, creating pain that goes beyond bodily sensation. Crushing hells press beings between massive weights that grind them into powder, only for their forms to reassemble for repeated compression. Cutting hells slice beings with weapons that never dull, creating wounds that heal instantly so the cutting can continue. Each hell realm creates suffering specifically matched to the type of harm the being caused others during life. Think of it this way: if you pour poison into a river, nature must process that poison somehow. The hell realms function like nature's way of processing the poison of harmful actions. The suffering isn't punishment for its own sake, but the natural consequence of negative energy working itself out. Beings arrive in hell realms through actions rooted in hatred, violence, and causing deliberate harm. Someone who kills with rage creates karma that must express itself through experiencing similar intensity. Someone who tortures others generates karmic forces that demand direct understanding of what torture feels like. The hell experience teaches through direct knowing rather than intellectual understanding. But here's what makes Buddhist hell realms different from other religious concepts. They contain built-in escape mechanisms. When karmic debts get fully paid through suffering, beings automatically move to higher realms. The pain serves as both consequence and cure. Suffering burns away the negative karma like fire purifies metal, leaving consciousness cleaner than before. Even in hell, the possibility of liberation exists once karmic debts are cleared. Buddhist teachings tell of beings who develop compassion even while experiencing intense torment. They recognize that their suffering comes from their own past actions, not external punishment. This understanding creates wisdom that can lead directly to enlightenment. This perspective transforms how we handle suffering in daily life. Instead of seeing challenges as meaningless punishment, we can view them as opportunities for growth and karmic clearing. Physical pain, emotional distress, and life difficulties become chances to burn away negative patterns and develop wisdom. Seeing suffering as a consequence can motivate ethical action and compassion, which in Buddhist teaching reduces harmful karma. When you face hardship, consider what it might be teaching you. Notice how suffering can create empathy for others who struggle. Observe how difficult experiences often lead to personal growth and deeper understanding. Pain becomes meaningful when viewed as a transformation rather than a random punishment. The hell realms teach us that no condition is permanent, not even ultimate suffering. Every experience, no matter how intense, eventually transforms into freedom. This understanding brings hope during difficult times and perspective during easier periods. The temporary nature of hell realms reveals something profound about all 6 destinations. They exist not just as future possibilities, but as present realities within your own consciousness. Now you can recognize these states operating within your daily experience. The six realms aren't just ancient maps of afterlife destinations. They're a mirror reflecting your inner world right now. Understanding them gives you the power to choose your next experience. Think of it this way. Every moment you cycle through these realms based on your mental state. When greed dominates, you taste the hungry ghost realm. When jealousy consumes you, you enter demigod consciousness. When you live unconsciously, you slip into animal awareness. In Buddhist terms, liberation comes through right understanding, mindful awareness, and compassionate action, the qualities that weaken craving and ignorance. The wheel keeps spinning, but you can move toward liberation by cultivating insight into impermanence and non-self, and practicing mindful, compassionate choices. Which realm do you recognize in yourself most often? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more calm, evidence-minded overviews of spiritual wisdom.